What's up, YouTubers? Welcome back. Today we are taking a look at the Interstellar Trooper Hammer of Steel set from JoyToy. Let's go over all the accessories. Here we have 3 shields, 2 sets of hands, and unfortunately they only gave us 4 pieces to fix the wrists of the figures. No other joints were included. Over here there's the arsenal of weapons that they come with, the 3 hammers, this incredibly large gun, 4 helmets, and of course, the 3 figures. Let's start out by taking a look at the pamphlet that the set comes with. And on the front it says Interstellar Trooper Hammer of Steel, and this is from the Battle of the Stars chapter. If we open up, take a look inside, you can see the team that's all geared up in the top page, and on the lower page, it shows you all the accessories that each figure comes with. Turning it around, you can see the disassembly example on the back page. This is a great addition in case you have to do any repairs to your figures. And on the back side it says Interstellar Trooper Hammer of Steel again. Let's get this out of the way. Let's take a look at one of the shields first. I'll bring it nice and close so you can get a look. It has this battleship gray paint on it with a silver highlight. There's a warning symbol up top and a number 1 on the front. We've seen this shield before. Let's turn it around, and here's the handle. And the great thing about this is you can actually spin it around, and this way you can have your figure hold it in either his left or right hand. And put it back in this direction, and this seat part right here clips onto the wrist, and there's the handle. Now, even though we've seen the shield before, it's nice to get it in this battleship gray color. Next up, let's take a look at a set of the hands. And these are pretty tiny, so you can see the detail on the back of the glove. And it's painted in the same gray as the armor of the figures. There's the port for the peg. And the other set of hands is a closed fist hand. So this is for punching or anything of that nature. And again, it's painted in the same gray as the armor of the figures. And there's the port. We'll go over all the weapons next. And we'll start with these 2 guns here. These 2 are absolutely identical. These are painted in a different color gray with silver gun wash highlights with the red canister. Great detail on this side too. Really space looking and sci-fi looking, and nice and thick and chunky. There's another set of smaller guns right here. These 2 are identical, and these actually look like souped up Uzis or sci-fi Uzis of some fashion with a stock on the back. And these have a nice wash on them. And you can see this side. Great looking detail for something this small. We'll take a look at the standalone gun. Now there's only one of these. And this looks like some type of souped up P90 or sci-fi laser gun with a suppressor or silencer on the front. And that's painted in a different color silver. And you can see it has some red highlights on this side. And it comes in the same great silver wash. And for the last gun, this really intense looking sci-fi gun. And I'm not sure if it goes in this direction. Maybe I have it upside down, but this is one of those BMGs or BFGs from an old video game from like Doom or something. It has really fantastic looking detail with the silver tones and the single barrel on the front. Fantastic looking detail on this side. And I really like how they use the 3 different color palettes with the very slight wash. Really makes all the details jump out. And lastly, the star of the show, the Warhammers. Now, I am a sucker for Warhammers, and this is one of the reasons why I bought this set. Just look at all this fantastic detail on the handle, on the actual hammer itself. In every direction there's some form of detail. And again, this just has a nice slight wash to it. They've even detailed way down here at the bottom. And all the way up here at the top. I can only imagine this thing getting swung at the enemy. Now this set comes with 4 helmets. 3 identical, and 1 unique helmet for, I guess, the captain. Let me grab this one and we'll bring it in close. absolutely wonderful sculpture and sculpting on this. The black highlights, the different color gray on the side. It's got a slight silver tint to it. And if you hold it just right, you can see it glare off the light. And of course, these are flexible, so they fit on the figure fine. Let me grab the other helmet. Now, I'm assuming this one's for the captain or the leader, and this kind of has a Mandalorian look to it. The black visor. And again, the silver highlights on the side. Really fantastic looking detail on this thing. All the way around. And we'll compare the two together so you can get a good look. And you just see just how different these are. So you have a trooper's helmet and obviously the commander's helmet. And it's nice that they give you an additional helmet in case you want to add to the team. We'll go over the paint and sculpt next. And I just want to point out that each one of these figures is absolutely identical. And the only difference is each of their head sculpts. Let me grab him first. We'll bring him in close so you can get a look. And looking at this head sculpt, he's got a really stern looking face. Absolutely amazing detail on his cheek right there. I don't know if you can see those wrinkles. And we don't get too many bald figures, so he's a great addition to my team. We'll come down to the chest and you can see there's some type of breather or something on the front of his chest. And looking at this up close, this kind of reminds me of a Kryptonian uniform out of a Superman movie. Just the colors and the way this thing is put together. Absolutely amazing detail on the belt, or the cod piece. Down to the thighs, he's got the number 1 on his right thigh. He has silver knee pads. And some silver highlights on top of his feet. Coming around to his left side, you can see the IF faction on his left shoulder. Great looking detail on the armor. You can start to see the profile of the boosters, and let me get his arm out of the way so you can see some of the pouches on his belt with the straps. Nice looking detail down the side of his leg, all the way down his calf, and of course the side of his shoes, or boots. Now coming around to the back, it says caution on the top of the booster. And just look at this detail right here. Here's the boosters. And it looks like an air intake right there. Of course, the back of his belt. Details all the way back down his legs, his calves, and some silver highlights at the bottom. On his right side, the IF faction here as well. And a couple of different pouches on this side. Now on his right thigh, this is actually the holster or the clip to hold his pistol. And you can see the detail on his calf and his boot on this side. And back around to the front. I'm really liking the shade of gray that they used on these guys. Let's see if I can't get him to stand up. And we'll grab the leader, or what I'm calling the leader, and take a look at his head sculpt. He's got this really Tom Selleck looking face, if you ask me. Great looking mustache. Nice sculpted hair. I think this is the first time I've seen this head sculpt. Let me give you a profile shot. He's got a really intense stare about him. Let me grab the last figure. And right off the bat, I just want to say thank you to JoyToy, because here is yet another brand new head sculpt. Now he's just got a plain look on his face and some nicely sculpted hair, but at least they're not recycling the same heads over and over again. I'll give you a profile shot. You see kind of the indents on his cheeks. And yeah, he actually has an intense stare now that I look at him. Now I cleared all the accessories out of the way, and I want to show you what each of these figures look like with the two unique helmets. And this just slides on real easily. It fits on this figure perfectly. I love how it tucks into the back of the top of the booster right there. No gapping. Paintwork is on point, and you can actually move it a little bit left and a little bit right. It goes together really nicely. Let me grab the captain, or what I'm calling the captain. in his Mandalorian type helmet. And this one slips on, yep, just as easily. And they don't fall off. They're nice and snug, but not too snug where they're going to ruin the paint of the figure's head. Really great engineering how they design these things. You can also look left and right. So you get some pretty dramatic poses out of them, even with the helmets on. Now I thought it would be fun to bring in some of the other figures from the recent reviews I did. And each one of these figures is absolutely unique to the other. And until you line them up side by side, you don't realize there's no reused parts in any one of these three sets. And I really wasn't sure until I got them in hand and stood them side by side. Let's look at the profile. You can see all brand new sculpts down the sides of these figures. They didn't even reuse the same feet. The thigh guards are all different. The boosters in the back, those are all different. Let me turn them around so you can get a look. As long as I don't knock them over here. No duplicated parts anywhere. Not even the belts. The belts are all different. So once again, JoyToy must be listening to the fans and coming up with brand new molds for each one of their sets. I want to turn these on a parallel so I can show you the holsters on the right thighs. Now, you would think that they use the same ones on all these figures, but nope, they're all unique too. So it's nice to see that they're actually coming up with brand new molds and just not recycling the same parts over and over and over again. Not to say that they won't do that in the future, but for these three sets, they're all completely unique. Now that we got the sculpt and paint out of the way, let's go over the articulation. Now, the articulation is the absolute same for all three of these figures. Take a look at him, and his head can move left and right. It doesn't go back too far because it hits the top of the booster. He can look down this far. Now, these are on a double ball joint or dumbbell joint, so nice range of motion. His arm can only go up this far because of this piece. And of course, 360-degree rotation at the bicep. Coming down to the elbow, 360-degree rotation here. And the armor's in the way, so you get a nice tight 90-degree bend. We'll come down to his wrist, and this rotates 360 degrees. And this wrist actually goes in this direction. And this wrist goes in the up and down direction. And of course that's to better hold their weapons. Now, coming down to the center of the figure, underneath all this armor, there's actually a diaphragm joint right there, but that's all hindered because of the armor. But you still can get rotation of the waist right here, and nice range of motion. Coming down to his legs, he can do the splits this far. And on his upper thigh right there is a cut, so you get this type of motion. You can Spartan kick forward this far.
This is Sparta!
And double knee joint. Coming down to the foot. This can only point this far because it hits the armor. And the same in this direction. Bottoms out right there. And this also is on a rocker. So, all in all, really great range of motion with all this bulky armor on. Now, here's one of the figures with only half of his armor off, and I just wanted to demonstrate just what actually comes off the figure. Over here is the chest armor, his upper thigh, his lower leg, of course the belt, his bicep armor, and his forearm armor. Now, with all this armor off, we can get a better look at the articulation that's hidden So let me grab him. And this is that diaphragm joint I was telling you about earlier. And this rotates and actually goes back and forth. So without the armor on, he can bend over really far. And one other thing I forgot to point out, and I just noticed, is on these boots, he actually has the toe articulation. It was hidden really well with the sculpting, so I missed it. Well, I hope this answers any of your questions as to what actually comes off these figures. Now I grabbed 3 of the unique weapons that the set comes with, and I wanted to show you what they can do. Now here's that big gun, and yeah, I was right, I was holding it upside down, and he holds onto this thing nice and tight. It's pretty heavy, but it doesn't knock him over at all. We'll take a look at the guy on the far right, and as you can see, he can look down this gun really well, considering all that bulky armor. He's got that stock tucked into his shoulder. And also, this is one of those pistols that clips into the holster, or clip on the thigh. Now for the final figure, now I know you don't normally hold onto a hammer like this, but I just wanted to show you just how tightly he can do this. Now this hammer is pretty heavy, but as you can see, it's not falling out of his hand at all. He's doing a really great job just one-handing this thing. Now let's see if I can't get him to hold it with 2 hands to demonstrate that. Shouldn't be a problem. And of course, if these hands don't work that great, you can always swap it out with those extra hands they come with, but no, he's wielding this thing like a champ. And I can only imagine this thing getting swung at somebody. I thought it was important to show you how each one of these unique weapons actually fit in their hands. Let me turn them to the side so you can get a better look. As you can see, no problem at all. Let's wrap this video up by showing you some comparisons with some other toy lines on the 1/18 scale. Here's a custom spearhead I made out of Marauder Task Force parts. And let me grab a Boss Fight Studios figure, see if I can't get him on the frame. He scales really well with these guys. How about General Hawk from G.I. Joe? And let me grab a female from the JoyToy line. Set her right here, as long as she doesn't fall over. And now you can see, these guys scale really well with multiple toy lines. Well, this is going to wrap up my review of the Interstellar Trooper Hammer of Steel set from JoyToy. If you're looking to add a sci-fi element to your collection, these guys are a must-get. Stand down! And as always, I'd like to thank you for stopping by and watching my videos. And if you like what you see, join the community and hit that subscribe button. And remember, share your knowledge.